Alrighty. It's that time of year again. Literally that time of year again because it's been a year since we've last done draft. It is time for team review. This is just a video for those of you who have not joined a team review before. This is just a video discussing the teams, maybe some of the areas that the teams excel in, some of the areas that the teams might have struggled in, cool strategies on each team, and some initial thoughts. I have not gone through these teams in detail because I have been, I've just been busy with other stuff. So this is going to be kind of like a first look at teams from my end. And let's just jump right in. It seems like most of the people from the Madame division are online. And I also rolled 1 through 3. 1 was Madame. So we're starting with the Madame division. So let's go ahead and begin. First, let's take a look at these cool logos, because I love logo looks. I don't know what my screen is showing and what it isn't. Yeah, it's not even showing the bottom row. Okay, we'll get to the logos in a bit. Let's just jump right in. Also, no Z moves this draft. First ever points draft on FNF. And lots of new customs to look forward to battling. So I hope you enjoy the Beta Blitz 4 Draft League as much as I do. We're gonna start with Beater, our resident Stardog man, and also top seed of the division. Congrats, Beater. I'm not gonna say every seed of each division, but I will say who the top seed is. Beater is the top seed, repping Stardog, so you already know I want him to win. We'll get a quick little glance at his team. So here we go. We're gonna look more in depth, and this is his beautiful logo done by Rex. Rex made an awesome logo, so congratulations, Rex. We love your logo work. All right, into the matchups. All right, looking over here, looks like there's a lot of physical firepower, some special, but mostly leans physical. The cool thing is that there are mons that could do either one. Push comes to shove, Hypno and Beelzebub can do both. So something to take into consideration with these mods. So Beelzebub plus Hypno Mega is actually just straight up, I got sniped and it ruined my whole draft. So I decided, I was like, I'm gonna redo this thing. I was having trouble building with Hypno because I feel like the size of these drafts are not conducive to monotype mons, frankly. Like, I felt like I needed every mon to be a dual type to fit everything I needed on my team, basically. So I was just having trouble building, and I was just like, you know what? Let's give Beater the keys of the kingdom. Why not? Everyone else is like, I'll tell you why not. But anyways, let's take a look here. Speed tiers looking good. Nice mix of speed tiers. Matchup chart looking good with only Rock, which is more of the Talonflame. And Ghost is the iffiest one, especially because Mega Hypno doesn't like Ghosts. So if you get a strong, like, Miss Magius, for example, could do a lot of damage versus this team on account of Beelzebub not being able to take those Ghost hits because of the Moonblast. So just things to consider. Ghost is really the only part of this team that feels like a little bit tough to challenge. But otherwise, this team functions really great. It does have Mimikyu food. Steenie Delta can deal with Mimikyu. You Steenie Delta, you break the disguise, pivot out, and let Talonflame do the rest. So let's take a look and see here. Obviously the most powerful mons being those top 3. But one thing I am really looking forward to seeing is Lycanmo. Lycanmo has not been tested in draft yet. It's still a pretty new Pokemon. So this is its first outing, and Dragon Dance, Swords Dance, all the coverage you could want, Rock Polish. It's got it all. Like I'm so excited to see some Lycanmo action. That's my pick for the most action that I want to see. But yeah, Mega Hypno Beelzebug is really, really strong, blocking those U-turns and strong bug moves for Hypno, as well as the Ghost types. And in return, Hypno can come in on things like close combat. Hypno really does sit on like fighting types. Overall, really balanced draft. You have a little bit of everything. You have some setup mons, you have glue mons, you have perfectly great core, lots of versatility, hazard control. Beater just knows how to draft them. What can I say? He's first seed for a reason. And yeah, I'm kind of all in on Beater. 1, because he has my Mega Hypno, and 2, because he's a Star Dogger. So that's my bias. I'm not even going to be biased to myself. I'm going to be biased to Beater. So let's look at our next person. We've got Bloop. Where there is light, there is darkness. We kind of have a duality thing going on with Beater and Bloop. Beater drafting Father, which is Beelzebug, and Bloop drafting Mother, which is Matrafly. And one would expect the roles to be reversed here. However, I think with Beelzebug, it's literally just who's first in the draft order. But it is surprising that he managed to get Matrafly that far down. I think he was like number 9. So yeah, let's take a look at this team. He's back to Moody Marshadow, one of 2 Marshadows in this league. This is a classic Bloop team. We're going to get into why. All right. Looking over here. Nice hitters on both sides. You have the specially defensive Lunagon, physically defensive Crocodobie, Tardinok do both, so you kind of got all your bases covered. Let's take a look at the matchup chart and the speed tiers. Speed tiers, pretty good. Matchup chart, let's see. Psychic, which, I mean, it's Psychic, but Psychic is the only thing that's a little bit tough. Like if there's a Meowstic F or something, if Tardinot is worn down, it could do some big damage. But otherwise, I mean, I don't see too much. Ghost is always a big issue because it's like darks and normals. So if you have 1 dark and 1 normal, at most you have 2 ghost resistances. You usually don't have more than that. Swablu as the sole resistance though is a little bit sus, just a smidge. But as we've seen before, Swablu actually is really good at handling its own, and I'm sure Bloop would utilize it to its full potential because he loves a mon that can sit. So Swablu is pretty good at that. Let's see what else we got. We've got some good hazard control. Crocodobie being one of the best demolitioners, but we have Rapid Spin and Defog just in case. We also, let's see, Bloop says, I thought about switching to but well, I'm glad you didn't because I'm facing you, so I'm glad you didn't. Matrafly, of course, is the star of the show on any Matrafly build because of its ability to quiver dance up, to spam Passion Storm and just boost automatically and just go ham. You also have a good partner in Unpheasant Primal, and then Typhlosion kind of rounds it up by threatening those steals that might try and come in. You also have, like I said, those mixed defenses. Bloop likes to build those big cores. He loves his fat mons with recovery that could come in and extend the battle until he's ready to send in his offensive mons. And overall, I don't really see a big weakness for this team. I'm curious to see how he utilizes Tardinot. Before, I believe it was Beater who had Tardinot. and I knew that Beater would probably delve into some offensive builds for Tardinot. Not sure if we'll see that from Bloop, but it would be cool. It would be cool. So we'll see. Bloop is also a serious contender going for Psychomeleon. So let's see if Psychomeleon has a chance or if the Stardoggers will reign supreme. On to the next. All right, Cooper's back for some more Marshadow team. And this time we have a similar build as his last time entering into the league. Starmie Mega and Lando. His flagship Pokemon last time was Despotide. He really did do a number on everybody with Despotide, especially as a newcomer, being able to not only make it to playoffs but in high division as well is pretty impressive. Now, let's take a look-see here. Some pretty hard hitters on both sides, favoring defense a little bit more than special defense, but nothing crazy. All right, matchup chart, speed tiers. There is a bit of a gap between Starmie M and Roserade Armored, but nothing too crazy. Let's see, what else? Not seeing any super glaring flaws. Weak to rock only, Beware resists. That could be a little tough. Because rock is a type you don't want to be weak to. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, so mostly the rock weakness, I think, is the glaring one. Beware is not the best. It's not one of his higher value Pokemon, so he will have to bring it if he wants a rock resist, otherwise rocks can go a little bit crazy. It is a Demolitioner though, so Demolition does add to its value at least. With Gravity, you do help rock types get Stone Edges and Earthquakes in. I was a little bit confused, and I think he might have picked up on this too. I thought he was going to trade it away, but Fusilate Delta and Gravity seems a little risky because you are giving up Levitate essentially in any matchup that you want to bring Mega Starmie and Fusilate Delta. Maybe it'll all be fine though. It does come in on some good attacks that threaten Scizor and Lando and Starmie Mega. So it does fit in well. You just have to be careful with the Gravity piece. I also think that there's a decent amount of pivoting here to keep up the momentum. Defensively, this team isn't super ironclad. I would say more it's an offensive team. Let's see. Galaxy mentioning that without immunities, he is ground weak, and I do think that's true. Celebi does help with that. So there is that, but true, Gravity can work against this team a bit, so it is a double-edged sword, but you do have the possibility to go Swords Dance, Choice Band, or Rock Polish Gravity Lando T and kind of let her rip for a few turns, which is really nice because you have a lot more confidence pressing that Earthquake button. And you also have the ability to go for some riskier moves like, well, on Starmie Hydro Pump, things like that, which won't be missing. Let's see, what else we've got here. The last thing I'll say about this team is that, once again, this is Cooper's still pretty new to FNF draft leagues. This is his second entrance, so I'm really excited to see what he does. Very chill guy, took battles well, new environment, so good luck, Cooper. And I think Cooper is going for, who's Cooper going for? He's going for Roboblin. Okay, so not too much luck, but a little bit of good luck. Joking, of course. All right, I love how chat right now is debating on how to say Fusilate. And like everyone is saying it different. All right, next we've got Ezla with the Shedinja Spooks. A candidate for Rollygon, which is someone who I didn't think would get much love, but actually got quite a bit. Let's take a look at these Pokemon on his team. I just realized that we got the Porygon rep and he's repping Rollygon. That's actually pretty awesome. All right. Vamos a ver. Okay. Let's see here. Lots of specially defensive mons. Really high special defense. Pretty decent. All right. Speed tiers, not bad. Falfrost usually goes Scarf, but it can go for some rock polish action. He does have the webs on Araquanid. A bit of a ground weakness. You have to rely on Araquanid and Lurantis to take those earthquakes, which might be a little tough if they're, say, banded earthquakes from Lando that aren't exactly easy to switch into. Something to keep in mind. Another thing, the rock weakness is there as well. Now Scrafty and Serena Delta are a little bit more reliable for rock resistance. Additionally, since he has no steel that resists flying, he has to rely on Pachirisu and Gargoliant to resist, but those are some pretty decent flying resists, so no harm, no foul there. In terms of the mons he has, he definitely wants to go ahead and snowball things. He loves his webs. I think the webs Banded Fusilate, High Caliber, Iron Bullet. I'm drooling right now. Sounds amazing. He also has good pivots. He has Serena Delta and Fusilate and Pachirisu to kind of keep things in motion. And then all he really wants is one Dragon Dance on Scrafty or a few boosts on his Scarf Falfrost and he can get to town. Of course, if he doesn't have webs up or if he's struggling with speed, Gargoliant is also a very good way to get things done. Curious about Pachirisu because it's still a mon that's relatively unexplored. It has its berry funnies, it pivots, it's super deceptively bulky, so very curious about that. And I do like the Lurantis little pocket magic bounce or magic coat webs check, because +1 speed with the opponent having -1 speed can let it snowball as well. So I think this is a pretty cool team. I think definitely the Falfrost Mega Scrappy core is going to go pretty hard. And I do hope, and I think we will see at least one matchup with offensive Serena Delta with webs up or with Scarf or with, I don't know if it gets Swords Dance. Does it get Swords Dance? Heartbreaker, Earthquake, Blaze Kick. I think it has Jump Kick. I don't know about High Jump Kick. Lots of options to go for its own offensive pressure. So definitely a cool team. I actually really like this team. This is one of my favorites. But so far I've liked all the teams. So let's see what we've got next. All right, Fox, also somewhat of a newcomer to FNF. This is her second draft league, I believe. First draft league, she was known for drafting Stall. This one, she does have some bulk, but she is not running Stall. So let's take a look and see what she's going for. And she is representing Florgiz FNF, which is honestly based. I love the battle concept for it. All right, let's see. Nova Horizon, of course, her hardest hitting special mon, Megalopony, and Spiritomb, in a way, hard hitting physical. Not as much firepower immediately as the other teams. It's kind of more concentrated in those picks. Let's see. We nerfed Mega Sableye. I didn't want to run Stall. That's what Fox said in chat. Well, players thank me for nerfing Mega Sableye. What can I say? All right. Let's take a look over here. This is one of the more unique matchup charts we've seen. 1 ground resistance, and it's an immunity. If gravity is up, that turns into a weakness. That is a pretty intense ground weakness there, mostly because of Sorbot not resisting ground. So you don't have your grass type. You have 1 flying type, no levitators or anything like that. So that is something to be very careful of. Ground is a huge liability to this team, especially since there's no edgequake resist. So if you switch an Orneridge on an Earthquake, you might get Stone Edged. Just to be careful about that. Otherwise, I think Ghost is the other one, since Megalopony is your only immunity, can be a little tough. There's no weaknesses and no resistances aside from that, so Ghost is hitting everything neutrally. Let's see. What else do we have here? Anything else particularly standing out? No, it's mostly Ground and Ghost, which are 2 pretty good offensive types. So definitely be careful with those. And then we are also going to look at those speed tiers. Pretty decent speed tiers. There is a bit of a chunk between Electabuzz and Nova Horizon. So those 115s, let's say, won't have to invest too much in speed. Those 120s will only have to outspeed Electabuzz. You might be seeing some bulk from them. Other than that, though, good speed tiers, and you do have priority with Lopunny Mega, very scarfable Orneridge, Sucker Punch with Spiritomb. This team really does like its hazard control, and I say that because Garbodor is just the god of hazards. Like, the #1 hazard removing and setting on is Garb. And if that wasn't enough, you have Defog Finny, you have Defog defensive Orneridge, you have spin blocking Spiritomb, you have spiking and stealth rocking from Garb and Orneridge as well. So definitely a team that could handle its hazards. Let's see, what else do we have? This team really wants to defend, and then find a way to set up Nova Horizon into a favorable position or chip away at things with Megalopony. It would benefit from more pivoting, because I think the only pivot right now is Orneridge, and I guess Boomba if it has U-turn. I forgot if Boomba gets U-turn. So there isn't a lot of pivoting, so just something to be careful of as well. And Taunt can be pretty tough for this team. Sorbot does have a built-in Taunt resist with Biddybud, but it does want to be able to recover as well. So yeah, your main offensive pieces are those top 3, and then everything else is kind of just bulking it out. So it's like one of the bulkier teams, not as hard hitting, but you can get jump scared by Lopunny and Nova Horizon respectively. Alrighty. Galaxy is next. I'm going to take a little water break, but Galaxy is Crystal Shores Crusaders representing Faror. Once again, we have an amazing logo done by Rex. Rex, you are awesome at logos. We already said that, but just wanted to say it again. Let's take a look at this team. Oh yeah, looking at this team, I'm also remembering almost every team in this division has a bird on it. There are 10 teams with birds and only 2 without. Fun fact. Bird up, guys. Alrighty. We have some very nice special offense. Attacking, we mostly have that in 2, which is Absol and Lady and Mega. So this is more of a specially oriented team. Let's take a look at the matchup chart. Not a ton of glaring weaknesses. That flying weakness is more so the 4 times from Ladian, but Zapdos and Empoleon work really well together to take on flying, so nothing too crazy. think this is a pretty well-balanced matchup chart in terms of speed tiers. Also very nice. 140 is a good top line number. Then you kind of have an even spread going down. Excellently crafted speed tiers, actually. Do have some pivots. We have Persian, Zapdos, Witherby, Steenie, Delta Armored, who I'll refer to as SDA, and of course Ladian Mega herself. And then let's see. Rock is handled by Steenie A and Empoleon. It's pretty decent to handle Rock. Just have to be careful with Edgequake, of course, because Empoleon can't handle that. Some priority with Ladian, Absol, and even the Pocket Aqua Jet on Empoleon. Oh, and who could forget Meryl and Baniri. Baniri is something that it seems like Galaxy really wants to try out, so I'm looking forward to him bringing it to one of his matches. Hopefully he does, and hopefully it cooks and does awesome in his match. A very bug resilient team, I'm just noticing. It looks like the plan of attack here is just pivot heavy and then just plow holes into things. The special leaning nature of this team is a little bit mitigated by the fact that Persian does hit on defense and special defense. Payday being, of course, that big hitting move, and that actually hits defense. So if you're sending in your Blissey, well, you better think of something else because Persian's going to break through. You have a lot of really nice pivot mons. Altazash, I'm really curious to see. And I'm curious to see Witherby too. We have rocks from Witherby mostly. We have spikes from SDA. We have Defog and Spin. Plenty of hazard control. Siren Aqua's first outing as well. A lot of people have been saying it's mid, that it's worse than mid, it's really bad, that it's just not worth using at all. But we'll see how it goes because it does have a lot of things about it that are attractive. It has a weather immunity, it has good typing, toxic immunity, decent-ish move pool, grounded poison, toxic spikes. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, very curious to see what this team is capable of. I'm trying to see anything else here. Yeah, I think I really like the idea of Ladian and Persian being able to U-turn out into each other or into a support mon to just keep things going. So yeah, this is a really good team. I like it a lot. All right. On to Jujington, our sole Frizetti rep in the whole league. Frizetti is really cool, so I am rooting for him a bit. Let's see. We have our Sandcore, Samsarula, Excadrill, and Maractus, Hydreigon, Festigest, Arctric, Ignajara, Mantike, Kasako, Spinarak, Muslib. I knew that he was going to draft one of the trios because, of course, those are his babies. All right, let's go right in. He has offenses on both sides, and he has really, really good speed. And the reason why he has good speed, aside from what the speed tiers suggest, not only does he have the 137 top line, but he has the doubled Excadrill and Maractus in Sand, and he has a Webs option if he wants to go Webs, plus a Prankster option in Kasako. So he does have speed. He also has extreme speed. Arctric won't hit that hard, but it is an option. So hitting before his mons will be pretty tough, especially there's no other weather mons. I don't think there are many weather controlling mons like Cloud9ers and stuff. So you are going to have to deal with the full extent of his sand. And Samsarula does really well into the other two. Samsarula has proven that it is the best sand setter and that you only need a sand core of 3 to really get things going. So this team is very, very offensive. Where it's offensive, it does kind of lack in defense. We're seeing not a great ghost matchup, only Hydreigon. It is pretty decent at taking ghost attacks, but if a ghost has pocket, dazzling gleam, of course you do want to be careful. And the defensive mons consist mostly of like Mantike and Samsarula. There's not a lot of defense happening here. So the battles with him are going to be explosive. I don't really super see Mantike coming a ton anyways. I mean, it is good to absorb water from Samsarula, of course, and Excadrill, bulky waters come in. You could just send out Mantike. But, yeah, it is not the most defensive team. Let's see, what else do we have here? We do have Festigest's first outing. A mon that I really wanted. Rip the snipe. But Festigest, I can't begin to like really emphasize how much Festigest has going on. It has boosting, it has rocks, it has spin, it has Heartbreaker, it has close combat, it has special coverage that is quite nice. It has a little bit of everything, and it could demolish a team if played right. So that is definitely something to look out for. Yeah, defensively, Rock's kind of intense. What else? Fire isn't that bad. And once again, this team is trying to hit you before you hit it. So the defensive matchup chart doesn't matter as much here. This is really probably the most offensive team in this division. Definitely a team focused on offense rather than defense. All right. Next up you have, oh my gosh, it's me. Shout out to Rex for doing this logo as well. It's so cute. I really love it. Stars, Secrets, and Slumber, a reference to the chapter, of course. And then you already know I'm gunning for Stardog, so let's take a look at the team composition. Originally the Mega Hypno team until the snipe happened and I just broke. All right, and this is my first time in a draft league in years, so it's gonna be, it's been a long time, let's just put it that way. All right, let's take a look at this matchup chart. I won't try to spend too much time on mine because I already know my team, but good upper line speed tier at 131, spread pretty evenly throughout. 2 resistances for everything at least. Ghost is kind of the iffiest one, I would say, but once again, ghost type moment. And you have a Pursuiter in Incineroar. And then the matchup chart can be a little deceiving too because it looks like there's an ice weakness, but if Kiwi is holding Yache Berry, that ice weakness turns into an immunity. Same thing with Rock, for example, especially since it's hiked up by Yanma, who I do want to bring eventually, but probably won't come to most of the matches. This team is pretty focused on being bulky with offensive presence. So all of the mons here, while their bulk is decent, can dish out damage as well. In terms of Kiwit, I don't have to declare berries. We actually removed that restriction because now Ambrosia states on sendout what berry it's holding. So you get the element of surprise gone, but you do have access to all of the berries, which I do think is a good trade-off because then you don't have to make the guessing game of like, is it Oka or is it Yache? And also the berry kit it had was basically like 4 berries and we were allowing 3, so it's like, which one of rock, flying, fire, and ice do you want? Or I guess poison could be 5. So yeah, it makes more intuitive sense to just let it have any berry and then it announces. Let's see. Don't sleep on Incineroar. Incineroar has U-turn, it has knock, it has guts now, which is really, really cool with Frost Orb. It's a ghost resistance, it has pursuit, it has a decent coverage move pool. I do like Incineroar a lot. Yeah, this is my team. Like, I don't know what else to say. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know if anyone wants to know anything in particular, but you'll have to find out by watching my matches. And I put myself in upper division despite being absent for over 4-5 years. I don't know. So we'll see. Oh yeah, and decent hazard control too because of Vikavolt FNF, Cheek-Hole, Kiwi, etc. Alrighty, let's move on to the next team in Madame Division, Team 9. This is going to be Quasimodo's team, Pitiful Punching Bags, another OG FNFer and a legend who I'm so excited to be facing in the final week. He is Team Stardog as well, so love to see it. Let's take a look and see what we are looking at here. We have Warcass heading the team, another double bird, Pick Possum, which is an awesome pick, and of course his signature Wobbuffet. So let's get into the really big analysis here. One thing to note, his offensive firepower is basically all in attack. He does have Mismagius and Salazzle, but they're not really breakers that could just come in and destroy right off the bat as easily as like a Warcass or a Durant Mega Cam. They definitely need like more of a nasty plot boost, or they need to be Life Orb or Specs or something like that to really do big damage. So something to keep in mind. He definitely is going to have to balance that that balance, I guess. This is another offensive team. It's not very defensive. It's kind of like Juju's team, where like the matchup chart is a little bit fake because like, yes, you resist Ghost on Pick Possum, but Pick Possum is a flimsy napkin of a mon. So really you don't have many Ghost resistances. It still does kind of help because obviously you could Pursuit Trap and blah, blah, blah. But that is something to note. The immunities and resistances here don't stack up super favorably. Ghost is almost completely unresisted. Rock is also a little bit tough, although Warcast does help with that. Mountaineer should not show Rock as 0, frankly, because it's only on send out. Let's see, what else do we got here? Other than that, it's actually pretty decent though. Flying is a little tough because it's only Tortuga. Yeah, so things to consider. Ghost and Flying are kind of like the harder types, but this team isn't really playing super defensively anyways. He really wants to take advantage of Delibird setting up all those hazards, so he's really good to test your hazard game. And Wobbuffet setting up setup opportunities. Wobbuffet is really cool in getting a mon to be trapped, encoring it, and then letting another Pokemon come in and take advantage of all of that momentum. So you could be stuck on Encore and then, oops, you got a Dragon Dance or a Swords Dance or something. So something to be considerate of. Tortuga is very funny. Upper line speed tiers pretty good. Around the middle, there's not many, but that's not too important with a team like this. Probably the best upper line speed tier in general in the whole thing. Delibird at 155. I don't think anyone drafted faster than that. Durant Mega's first rodeo, so that's going to be really fun. I do like that Salazzle can dismantle defensive teams, so a team that might be annoying on the defensive end can get toxic to like its bulky poison, like if Garb or Sorbot or something. Well, Sorbot would just die to Flamethrower. But there are some options. Mismagius has Taunt. Things to stall break. There's not a lot of stalled teams, but you can kind of disrupt those bulky balance cores with them. I really do like Gorochu having Defiant for webs as well. Excuse me. Because this is a team that doesn't want to get hit by webs for sure. So So yeah, it is a pretty straightforward team. It's a matter of which Pokemon are going to try to murder you, and Delibird is probably going to come to every match to Hazard Vomit. It does win the Hazard game, and then the winning of the Hazard game comes from not being able to set up Hazards later because there's so much offensive pressure that you'll die if you try to set up Hazards, and it's not worth it. All right. On to the next one. We've got Risk here with Wooloo Loving Wooloo, representing Stardog as well. We love to see the Stardog representation. I'm so happy with how many people have really come around on Stardog. Let's take a look at this team. Love that Grubbin at the end. Big hitters on the physical side. Special side, it's mostly just Blitz F1, so once again, leaning physical. All right, and we're gonna take a look at the matchup chart right after I take this drink of water. All right. Speed tiers, not the greatest. You have a big gap between Blitz F1 and Mightyena, where 100s don't have to invest too much to outspeed Mightyena, even like 105s, and you don't have a top line of 120 or more, so it is a little weaker compared to the other speed tiers in this, especially since Vibrava is usually not going to be running its 80, so you also have a big gap between Mightyena and Lantern as well. Well, Lantern's not going to run speed anyways. Actually, the only mons that are going to run speed are probably those top 3 mons. Grub and Webs can help, especially if Risk is going for a choice band Mightyena angle. Let's take a look at the defensive type chart. Let's see. Nothing really super sticking out to me as a weakness here. Lantern, Sylveon, Probopass, Chestnut, and Lickitung FNF. That is pretty strongly defensive. This is one of the stallier teams for sure, especially with that Lickitung FNF presence. You do have a lot of ways to deal with setup between Sparkling Water and Unaware. Let's see, Probopass, good support for Unpheasant F because you can Magnet Pull and kill any steals that want to come in. Let's see. Galaxy saying that it was really tough to fix the speed tiers here because there wasn't much left. Probably the team with the most usable mons. Yeah, I would say it has a lot of usable mons. I think there are other teams that had like maybe one that was not going to be used much. I know mine was like, just off the top of my head, like it was only Yanma, everything else was pretty decent. Definitely, yeah, a more evenly spread out team. And then, of course, Lantern kind of just fits with... Lantern fits with Probopass, Lantern fits with Vibrava, Lantern fits with Lickitung. Like, Lantern really is a star here, fits with Chestnut. Good hazard control, which you really want for an Unpheasant FNF and Blitz F1 focused offenses team. Mightyena is great for that parting shot into some of the bulkier mons that have the opportunity to go ahead and recover. Sylveon, Probopass, nice wish passing little duo there to keep Probopass healthy. So this is definitely a more defensively minded team who has offensive juggernauts. And even Unpheasant F and Mightyena are like defensive offensive, where like Mightyena you can do the parting shot thing, or like Unpheasant you could go bulky and then just taunt Swords Dance kind of thing. So yeah, Unpheasant F's first rodeo, I'm really excited to see how it does because it has been kicking butt in UU. So we'll see if it kicks butt in draft, especially with all those strong bugs running around. And yes, it is fatter than Zapdos with taunt and with no weaknesses after Roost. All right. And Risk just in time to do the... Oh no, Risk is actually not doing it in chat. But to do the... I don't know how it's pronounced. Is it... Oh. I don't know how it's pronounced. Did I do it right? Ooh. I don't know. Anyways, on to the next. Oh, this is where the doc starts to get unhappy with me. Will 11 and 12 work? Let's see. No, they won't. All right, technical difficulties. We're gonna just move 11 and 12 up to 6 and 7. Don't say it. Don't think it. Don't say it. Don't think it. Don't say it. Okay. Don't think it. Don't say it. Okay. Next we've got Violet. Violet is Team Tangolana. I think our only Tangolana rep in this division. Let's take a look at the team. This is a pretty Neko Starlight Princess. Our signature wants to break into the big three contender. All right, so here is our team. And let's go ahead and look at the stats here. Big hitters on both sides. Decent defenses all around. Definitely a big balanced team. Decently spread out speed tiers. Doesn't surpass the 120 like Risk. So once again, compared to the other contenders, lacks one of the top high-end speed bonds. Not as important though. Oh, hi Fennel. Let's take a look at that defensive chart. Ghost looking pretty tough here. That's kind of like the theme this league, where Ghost is usually the toughest one. Which, I mean, spoiler alert, Ghost is one of the toughest types to resist anyways. With only Type Null there, Type Null probably not coming too many times, so just something to be careful of with the Ghost weakness, because it can be pretty tough. Aside from that, nothing glaring. Yeah, you have a good Edgequake resist in Claydol, which is really nice. You have... I really do like that Claydol and Cough-Egregious pair well with Source Sparse Armored. And Source Sparse Armored really appreciates that, because it doesn't want to take close combats and it doesn't want to take Earthquakes. Claydol could take both, Cough-Egregious could take Earthquakes. Let's see what else we got. We do have a pretty great hazard game. We have Magic Bounce, we have Defog blocking, we have Spikes on multiple mons, we have Rocks on multiple Moggins, we have a Spinner. Toxic Spikes and Webs. This is probably one of the best hazard teams of them all, aside from the fact that Fox has Garb, and Garb kind of just cheats at the hazard game. But this is a really, really good hazard team for sure. Let's see what else we got. Some strong firepower from Darm. And Source Sparse Armored is just kind of like the Mon of the day. I think the amount of sets it has really sets it apart and has a lot of people looking forward to seeing what it can do. I think a lot of people's first thought with it is to go defensive, but I think boosting is really where it excels. It does have good utility, of course, too, so we're definitely keeping an eye on Source Sparse Armored. And then we also have the Hawlucha, newly done Hawlucha that has Jet Stream, I think. Yeah, Jet Stream. Not like super useful in this team build, honestly, but good for blocking defogs specifically. Hurricane, Heat Wave, not too big a deal. Let's see what else we got. We've got a couple of pivots. Could use a little bit more pivots because there is a bit of momentum sinking when Claydol and Kaffa come in, things like that. Quillfish, but I think that the hazard chip and like the I'm going to be unkillable, so I force you to switch in itself can kind of like shake things up still as well. Let's see, anything else? That's about all I could think of at the moment. Shout out to Gramble though. I definitely want to see some quick feet Gramble action. Would be super cool. Swords Dance quick feet. All right. And then we'll go on to the last of the Madame division, going from Team 6 to Team... All right, and finally we got Vivian representing Psychomelian Ecruteak Twilight. And this is Vivian's first rodeo in the upper division. She was begging for it, so you got your wish. Taking a look at this team here, and let's go into the... Okay. Look at that defense. Tons of defense here. Special defense is more offloaded on Micromancer. This team has a lot of defense going for it. Some good special attackers, some good attackers. Let's take a look at the rest of it. All right. Beautifully done resistances. There's not a single type that looks dire. Even Ghost is pretty patched up here. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see any weakness in the defenses of this team. Speed tiers are pretty decent. A little bit low on the top end because a lot of people, like I said earlier, are going over 120. These last three teams are kind of those slower teams. So a little bit slower on the top end, but not bad and evenly spread out. The thing that I like most about this team is the Micromancer Numpuff duo. I think that they go into each other really, really well. And you have another Pokemon that you could throw in there for good measure. So for example, if you are scared of the ice and fire threats to Micromancer, Thick Fat Miltank is right there for you. If you are scared of, let's say, a strong Psychic blow to Numpuff, maybe a Psyshock that Micromancer can't take as well, then you've got Bronzong as an option. So there are some really decent options here, but I think those two in particular have really, really cool synergy. Top line, we have Garchomp as one of the big physical threats, but you also have Golisopod and Lycanroc Midnight, who can do physical threatening as well. Also, I do think that this is actually the team that has the most usable mons, because every mon on here is usable. Pretends Cobalion doesn't exist. I'm kidding. But yeah, I think this is the team that has the most usable mons. Let's see what else we got. Pivoting, we've got Volt Switch on Cobalion and U-turn on Xatu, so not as much pivoting as this team might like, and the defensive Pokemon can get a little bit passive, so that is something to take into account. Bronzong, Miltank, Numpuff, those are the mons I'm more talking about. Micromancer, of course, does both offense and defense really well. Let's see what else we got. We got good hazard control. We have Magic Bounce, we have Rapid Spin and Scrappy Rapid Spin if you really need that. Those are the only two though, I think, so they do have a little bit of pressure to keep it on them. Miltank, I think, has to come each week if you want to remove hazards once they go up, or you have to keep them off with Xatu. Setting, you do have a Spikes option and several Rocks options. Yeah, some of these Pokemon will need some Toxic Let's see. I do think that Bronzong covers the ice matchup well because the top mons do really struggle with ice, but Bronzong, Thick Fat Miltank, Golisopod, things like that cover it pretty well. You do have boosting. Yeah, I don't really see any glaring weaknesses here. Xatu helps with Stolly teams. All around a pretty good team. Yeah, and you have Edgequake resist with Bronzong as well. So you pretty much, you could kind of defensively construct your team however you want it to be. So this is a really good team, very ironclad and doesn't sacrifice too much offense to be ironclad. Can get a little passive when its bulky core gets really strong. So like you do kind of have to juggle how much offense versus defense do I want, but pretty good, not bad. And yeah, the most usable mons on this team, I think. All right. We are done with the Madame division. Taking a look-see. Going through all those teams one more time. Does anybody have a favorite team? Anybody have a team that they think will be the most scary to face against? Let me know. I'm reviewing myself. I'm reviewing one more time myself so I could say what my favorite team is, obviously aside from my own. All right, almost done here. Got some shout outs to Viv, Fox, Juge, Cooper, all right, and I have looked at all the teams now, and my favorite team is Beater. Beater's team is my favorite. Bias there because of Mega Hypno, but aside from Mega Hypno, I think Beelzebub Mega Hypno is really, really well put together. I really want to see Lycan Moho. I think there are cool pivots here. I think that utilizing Hypno's Baku shields to support the babies is really cool. There's good budget priority, boosting of all kinds, really a lot of versatility. So this is my favorite of the upper division teams. But let me know what your favorites are and give shout outs to your fellow competitors. Galaxy's like my Mega Hypno was your favorite last league too. Hashtag exposed. But yeah, I really like the Madame division teams. I think they're really cool. I'm gonna move on now because I actually have some juice in me. I'm gonna move on to the Pangxi division. I'm just gonna go up to down. Let's take a look here at our Pangxiers. I forgot that all the logos won't show, so we're just gonna wing it. We're gonna wing it, and we're gonna be happy that we're winging it. I do need to fix one of the logos really quick. And I want to do that before we get to this team because it is a hand-drawn logo and I think that's really awesome. I love when people put a lot of effort into their team flavors and logos. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put that logo in really quick. Don't mind me. Feel free to also predict who you think in Madame division is going to take it all. All right. All the music has been provided by Misa Goya, which is a Pokemon arrangement YouTuber. I don't personally know them, but. All right, Pangxi Division, let's go. We're gonna just jump right in. Start with Bun, Shooting for the Stars. And this is our final Stardog representative, so you know I gotta root for Bun. Let's take a look at this team real quick. Of course, he has his signature Utsuki, but he also has Tardinot, which is very fitting for his space theme and his character in FNF Showdown as well. All right. Going into Pangxi. Hard hitting on the offense. Special offense leaves a lot to be desired. Only Shorelorn really hits hard on the special offense, so that is something to take into account. It's very easy to hit hard on the physical. Hitting hard on both is a little tougher. All right, let's take a look at these speed tiers. We have a big gap between Beedrill and Shorelorn, but not too bad considering that upper line is pretty high up there. Then some decent spread throughout the way. Let's see here. Any weaknesses? I don't see any dire weaknesses on the matchup chart. Fire does look a little bit tough, but you do have Shorelorn and Chronoclang for that. Eradicate Alola I don't think is coming too often, but you never know. Let's see what else. Water also kind of tough, especially if you have a water and ice combo, which can take on Utsuki as well. So fire and water are the two to kind of watch out for. Let's see, this team, you do have some strong pivots in Shorelorn and Mega Beedrill. Of course, when you have Mega Beedrill, you do need good hazard removal. The hazard removal here, does Chronoclang get rapid spin? I don't think it's an amazing spinner though. What is the hazard removal here? Orbital Shift. You have two Demolitioners, a well, barely a Defogger. Yeah, you do have a rapid spinner. So like, it feels like the removal here is kind of outside of maybe Orbital Shift. The removal here is a little bit like the Mons would rather not have to remove. That's kind of their only thing. But yeah, we might see Capito come multiple times because that's probably the best spinner and that's saying something. So the hazard removal isn't amazing for Mega Beedrill. I will say that. But you do have a Pocket Demolition and Warcast, so, and Utsuki, but they would rather be doing other things. I really do like the Wish from Tardinot. You could really get Tardinot to wish up and give Utsuki a big wish coming in on a close combat. Warcast, a big wish. You could give, who else would appreciate a big wish? Even Shorelorn. Tardinot, I do like how it slips in here. It also does give an Edgequake resistance, which is really nice. Let's see. Physically, this team is hitting very hard. Lots of braking, good priority in extreme speed. Especially though, this team does need some help. So special offense is not the forte here, but Shorelorn can hold its own, and maybe we'll see a pocket special Tardinot or Arcanine FNF one of these weeks, which would be pretty cool. Aside from that, I don't have much else to say. Yeah, I do like that he got Aron though. Little Goldie moment. All right, I'm gonna keep making that mistake. I'll just move this down. Oh, my timer went off. Okay. We're going to move on to Cass now. I'm gonna be right back. I'm just gonna move my food from the freezer to the fridge. All right, we've got cast Bikini Bomb Seals, Return of the Bikini Bomb Seals. Cast known for being in the early beta blitzes and gunning for Bomb Seal, and look where we are, Bomb Seal's here. This time she's gunning for Psychemelian, which is another popular pick. We have the all-known pick as well. So taking a little brief look at these mons here. All right, this time we've got a especially heavy team with some physical presence as well, but this team is definitely leaning on the special side. All right, speed tiers. Big gap between Gargolian and Nihiligo. That 115 range you definitely want to have filled, so that can be a little tough because those 120s, 115s can go bulkier, don't have to worry about outspeeding too much. So keep that in mind when you're doing your calcs casts. And then we also have, let's see, steel, a big weakness here. Yeah, the only steel switch-ins really are Vaporeon and Magneton. And Magneton does have to be careful if it's like Iron Head Earthquake, something like that. So something to keep in mind. The steel type weakness is pretty high. In terms of threatening steel types, Magneton of course is a magnet trapper, so that's pretty decent. But otherwise you will have to run Flygon probably most weeks, and you're gonna need to dedicate a slot on Gargolian just in case, probably for Earth Power. Ghost is also an issue with Grab King since ghosts can run hidden power fighting for it. So once again, just something to be mindful of. What just dropped? Oh, okay. So with that out of the way, offensively, this team is awesome. I really like All Known. I mean, All Known is just one of the draft goats. Can do pretty much anything you want it to do. So we could be seeing Geomancy, we could be seeing Quiver Dance, we could be seeing a lot. Now, be careful because there is the existence of Lanchi Berry, which can steal some boosts. So if you expect that something might be trying to steal your boosts, I would be careful there. But a cheeky, well, I don't know if Lanchi could copy Lanchi. I was gonna say a cheeky thing could be to Lanchi, the all-known, so you get the boost again, but I don't know if that works. Something to test. Of course, you also have the option for Parasitic Drain, the ever beloved and behated, depending on who you are, Parasitic Drain, which makes All Known a really, really good defensive piece. But seeing as to how this team isn't super defensively oriented, I don't think it's going to be taking that route as much. You also have Dragon Dance Flygon, you have Bun Mochi, who hits really hard, Beast Boosting Nihiligo, fast and strong Gargoliant. This team definitely does not pull its punches. It really goes hard on the offense, especially that special offense, like I said. Flygon, especially with the tinted lens, can go really well there, but it does have a little bit of pressure to be that Edgequake resist. I mean, it still can resist rock, but Levitate helps with the ground as well. So we might see Levitate some weeks, and we might see Tinted Lens other weeks. All Known can do Levitate as well. Actually, ground is really tough here because you have to run Levitate on both of the mons that have another ability that they don't always want to choose Levitate over. Yeah, All Known can be a double-edged sword because you will be removing Beast Boost, Huge Power, Tinted Lens, Storm Drain, Magnet Pool. Those are the big ones. Adaptive Growth or Filter on Whaler Delta. So we might see All Known going for the Levitate more often than not. All Known's Arcana is really good at shutting down weather or against teams that are really, really weather heavy. And also Bun Mochi can do special sets as well. So if you anticipate that you're going to run a special set with Banmochi, then maybe that's a little bit better for your Arcana chances. Let's see. There's a little bit of a Pursuit weakness with All Known and Gargoliant, so when you send them in, you want to be a little more committal. Let's see, what else? And I hope you banded Grav King a lot of things and destroy them, because Grav King is cool as hell. That's what I gotta say there. Next. Okay, now we have the second cast, Cassandra, referring to her by her formal name, Cassandra Tennesseeington II. Cassandra's going for Meloetta Delta. And let's take a look at that team. All right. Hard hitting physically, especially not as much. Matchup chart. Rock weakness pretty big. Excadrill is going to have a lot on its plate to deal with rock, but does not resist Edgequake, so that is a little tough. Medicham Mega, the other resist, but it's not really something that wants to take really strong rock moves. And when you have Beelzebub there, you really want to have a good rock resist, so that is one of the weaknesses of this team. The other one is the ice resist, one resist in Ignajara, and once again, Ignajara is pretty frail. So defensively, there are a few shortcomings on this team in terms of the matchup chart. However, this team isn't super trying to be defensive. I mean, it kind of is a little bit. Kind of not. So you have Castform who could set Sand for Excadrill, Rain for Mantine and Thunder Tapu Koko, and Sun for Vileplume and Ignajara. But none of them are really like super dedicated weather. So it's kind of like pocket weather in 3 flavors, which I'm not sure how good that would be. I guess there's only one way to find out. Speed tier wise, you do have the weather speed, so you could buff that a little bit, but there is a gap between Tapu Koko and Igna, so just something to be mindful of. Not too big a gap though. It's actually a pretty decently spread out with a good upper line. Tapu Koko is really nice with specs, as we all know, but it does take a big hit from Z, so it does have a little bit more checks. Offensively, you're giving a lot of offense with a lot of these mons. Vileplume and Mantine can be a little bit more defensive. Other than that, there's definitely a lot going on with this team. I guess that's the nature of Castform teams. Which in a way is pretty good, because then you can kind of keep your opponents guessing. So that's kind of the main benefit of this team, I think. They're going to be like, who is coming with weather? And you'll just have to find out the hard way. I don't think there's a Miasma rep or a Hail rep here. Yeah. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. You might not know what you're getting going into this one, but you'll definitely get a fast-paced game, that's for sure. All right, moving on to number 4. This, I believe, is Sentry, yes. Sentry, who's writing for Florges FNF, the terrific Tobishimis. Another somewhat newcomer, not too much of a newcomer, not as much of a OG player as many of the others, but always happy to see Sentry join, especially because he gets into it, which is fun. I love it when people get into the league. Let's take a look here. Good offenses on both sides. Especially, you're mostly riding on Claydol, but of course Celesteela is good there too. Defensively, pretty decent choices. All right. Nice matchup chart. right off the bat looks pretty decent. Let's take a closer look inside the nitty gritty of it. Yeah, nothing too crazy here. Yeah. Terro Celesteela is an excellent core because you have fairies that could that Stela could come in on. You have fire and electric that Terro could come in on. And then for those pesky fightings, Claydol is here to save the day. Galvantula Delta gives webs, which is very nice for a lot of the team. Tobishimi on webs looks so fun. Choice Band, Supply Chain Dragon Roll webs. Say no more. And then for those pesky fairies, you can just bring in Stela. I do love the Durant Mega pick too. Let's see what else we got. Good hazard control with Claydol. You could set hazards with Tobishimi. The only caveat I'll give is that Claydol doesn't like to be forced to both set and remove hazards. So in this team, it basically has to do both, unless you want to force Tobishimi to do rocks, because I think those are the only two rockers, yeah. So while there's decent hazard removal and setting, aka Claydol, you don't have a lot of options. That's the only thing. In terms of pivots as well, you only have Xurkitree, who kind of wants to stay out, and Dry Pass, if you even count that on Durant Mega. Speed tier wise, Durant Mega's 129. You do have a bit of a gap between those upper two, but it's not too terrible. But this team is on the slower side, so it really is going to appreciate those webs. Does it have a pocket trick room? I don't think it's really a trick room team though. None of the mons are like that slow. Lickitung FNF, in case the fairy matchup wasn't good enough, here's another one. This fairy matchup is really, really good. Yeah, this is a really interesting, cool team. I think webs are like such a huge staple for this team. I really want to see what Terro could do. I think Tobishimi Terro webs with like Xurkitree sounds really fun. Stela could definitely go offensive here a lot of the time with that web support. So yeah, I think Sentry tends to craft teams that I really like, and this is no exception. So pretty cool team. We're going to move on to Colin. Before we move on to Colin, I'm going to take a small break to use the restroom, so I will be right back in a few minutes. All right, almost back here, just taking a second to refill my water, but Colin is back representing Meloetta Delta. Take a little look at his team here. Signature Rotom Wash, and of course, Mega Scrafty, who he crafted himself. He's a real one for taking Hypno as well. Also Barb Armored, which is really cool. Hopefully the water refill isn't too loud. Alrighty. Strong offenses. And some decent, especially offensive options too. Good defenses. Looking pretty decent. Let's take a look. All right, now I am back. 3 Mons in the 86 range and 1 in the 85. What a crowded range. Speed tiers, there is a bit of a gap between Talonflame and Madame. A gap that doesn't matter too much anyways, because Talonflame usually goes for Gale Wings, which gives it that priority. So having a 115 would have been nice in there. But he does have a technically higher upper end because of Gale Wings helping augment that speed for Talonflame. Let's see what else he's got. Big ice weakness, although that's really bumped up by Gabite. Rotom Wash and Fusely actually do that pretty well, resisting ice. Everything else seems pretty decently accounted for. Taking a look here. Yeah, everything else seems pretty decently accounted for. I like his hard hitters. I think that he has... This honestly feels like a Webs team in a way. But there's no Webs. I think Fusely would go really hard on a Webs team. We're going to see that with with Ezla and Madame Division. But I do think that this team would have appreciated Webs. Good setting in Palossand. Barb Armored can in a pinch. Good removal in Rotom Wash. Fusely has its Rapid Spin. You also have Mad Nexa, who can set Toxic Spikes and Spikes. Pivoting, pretty decent. You have 4 good pivots. Madame doesn't run U-turn all the time, but could be a pivoter in that respect. Hypno, so everyone else go home. This is the best team. Just kidding. And then Fairies, Fusely could come in and do some big damage. It does have a low special defense, so that's the only thing to be worried about. But pretty good, and Mad Nexa when you're needing to switch into a Fairy as well. Rotom Wash for those flyings. Really, really excited to see what Barb Armored could do because it is new. And yeah, Barb Armored is like completely untested waters. So definitely looking forward to that. Madame and Scrafty Mega and Fusely all hitting really hard on the physical side. On the special side, you don't have a ton of very, very big firepower, but you still do have some decent output. Overall, it is on the slower side, but it hits really hard, has some cool boosting options, has decent utility and hazard control, and some good pivots. So I think the biggest thing is the speed that I would bump up a little bit if I could tweak the draft. Other than that, good to see you back, Colin. Move on to the next one. Edgar's team. Edgar here representing Robo Blim. As the Kaiju Trackers, Edgar, one of the FNF OGs. We had some great matches in Victory Road, which is our original draft league. let's take a look at this team before digging in and seeing what exactly is going on here. Alrighty. We've got a good attack power in a couple of mons, special attack in a few more. So good balance of both. Speed tiers look good. 127 is a decent upper end and it is decently spread out. Let's see what else we got. In terms of weaknesses, let's see, nothing too much sticking out at me. You do have the rock weakness, but Vikavol FNF is such a good Edgequake resist that it's not too concerning to me. I think it's safe to say that Vika comes to pretty much every match because it's just so valuable. Yeah, I don't see anything too crazy here. Let's see, pivots, you have Hawlucha, you have Persian, Volt Switch on Vika FNF, you have Clawitzer, and you have Masquerain. You have webs from Masquerain as well. You have boosting on most of the mons, honestly. Yeah. This team utilizes webs really well. This team utilizes pivoting really well. I love this team. This is an awesome team. I do like the core that Micro forms with Vika FNF. It comes in on water and grass. Can't come in on those ice moves, but it does come in on water and grass, and Vika helps it in return by coming in on flying and steel. Aggron can also be added to the mix there. Clawitzer, such a cool mon. Specs on webs. Chef's kiss. Persian, of course, is a star of this team with the specs payday or nasty plot into rip teams apart. Decent removal too. You have Vikavolt, you do have Rapid Spin, Defog. This is kind of one of those cases where the Rapid Spinner doesn't want to be Rapid Spinning, and you don't really want to defog or demolition too much because you do want to keep your webs up. So that would be probably the one weakness I see with this team, is that hazard control can be a little bit of a like pick and choose when to do it, and not maybe the most advantageous or advantageous thing to do. But other than that, this is a really awesome team. Masquerain goes with this team so well. Lots of usable players on this team. Decent mix of defensive, utility, still decently hitting mons. Like, none of these mons are super passive. All of them can hit hard. This team is right up my alley. I like this team a lot. Good job, Edgar. All right. Moving forward to the Thespian Thievals, Fennel coming in as our sole Carnelian rep. Carnelian is such a cool mon though, so I'm glad that you're repping Carnelian. And also, Fennel, a long time drafter here, hasn't been in a draft for a while, so we're really excited to have him back. He is the #1 seed of this division. Like I said, I was gonna say the #1 seeds, not the rest of them. But he is the #1 seed, so we're looking at you, Fennel, no pressure. Let's take a look at this team real quick, and then we will dive into the matchup charts. All right, decent little spread of everything there. Matchup chart time. Speed tier is pretty decently balanced out. Nothing too big of a gap between them. A nice upper end there and some decent lower ends as well. In terms of the matchup chart, there is one glaring thing to me, and that is absolutely no fairy resistances. No weaknesses either, but no resistances. So a very strong fairy spammer like a Lunar Cannon Lunagon or a Diancie Mega Clicking Moonblast is going to be really hard for this team to switch into, and it should keep that in mind when it's planning accordingly. A fairy that boosts up can run away with a match if you're not careful. Now, Source Sparse Armored is kind of a pseudo fairy resist. It doesn't resist fairy, but fairies don't want to stay in on it if they have the chance. Only a very few fairies want to stay in on it. So that is a little bit of a silver lining, but yeah, you definitely want to be careful with those fairies. That's the biggest point of advice, and I know that you saw it a little bit earlier too, Fennel, because yeah, you were saying how you realized it yesterday. So something to keep in mind, which I'm sure you will keep in mind. Other than that, you do have a lot of cool pivots. So many of these mons pivot, those upper mons, the fast mons, Manectric all the way to Celebi, all have the ability to go ahead and pivot. Additionally, you have some decent firepower in both directions, and you have mons that could do both. Infernape can do physical or special. Source Sparse Armored can do physical or special. Celebi can do physical or special. So you can keep the opponents kind of guessing as to what your next move is going to be. I really hope that you bring Growlithe FNF. I don't know what it can do, because no one's really used it, but I hope that you use it, and I hope that it's cool. Kricketot is, actually it's funny that your two mons on the lower end are like the priority spammers. Kind of funny. Let's see what else we got here. Tapu Fini giving a nice little status protection to mons. This is especially useful for Golurk. I was looking at a lot of the mons. Oh, it doesn't have E-Speed? Oh, rip. Never mind. Anyways, I was looking at a lot of the mons, and I do like how those top line mons, Source Sparse Armored, Tapu Fini, and Tornadus Therian complement each other. They complement each other really well. But I also think that Golurk is a big piece of that equation. Edgequake resistance is really, really good. Clay Construction kind of gives it a new life. Additionally, because of the +2 boost from Clay Construction, even if you do get hit by Earthquake and they want to take you out with a different move, they're going to have a way harder time. And offensively, you are no slouch. You have good rapid spin blocking, stealth rocking from Golurk. You have defogging mostly as your main method of removal from several of your mons. You have stealth rocks from Infernape if you want to run the lead set, as well as Celebi if you wanted to use Celebi for that mana, and some spikes from Drapion. So a little bit of everything in terms of the hazard department. Type synergy-wise, everything kind of goes into each other really well. It feels like this team kind of feeds into each other really well. Aside from the one little weakness of Fairy, that's the only thing. But aside from that, I think this is a really solidly crafted team, and I think that Fennel did a good job in crafting it. I do think that this team highlights the importance of using the prep doc if you can when you're prepping your teams, because it would have shown that Fairy, that block of no Fairy resistances. So a good little matchup chart promotion there. But yeah, welcome back, Fennel. Really, really excited to see you here, and also repping Carnelian. Next, we've got Lion Hugs, Fried Rice, Reggie Ice representing RoboBlim, and you'll never believe it, but Lion Hugs is eating fried rice at this very moment as we speak. This is a Hail team, and we're going to look into how this Hail team functions in just a second. Taking a preliminary cursory look at these mons before we dive in. And since it's Hail, you're going to see a lot of the speed tiers aren't like super filled in, but they will be when the Hail kicks in. So as you see, 125, 109, I mean, it's actually not too bad, even without Hail. 125 isn't a terrible upper line. but the speed really comes in when you factor in that Glaceon and Sandslash are ×2 speed in Hail. You also have Quick Feet Hitmonwoo in case you wanted a little bit more of that speed Scarf without needing a Scarf. Taking a look at this team, it is a Hail team, so it's trying to be more offensive than defensive, which means Glaceon and Sandslash Alola probably going to come every week. Gyarados very good on Hail because it could come into those fighting and fire moves that threaten those two Hail sweepers. Also Steel as well. Come in, go for the Dragon Dance, and keep exerting that offensive pressure. I really like Gyarados on this team. A offensive bulky water with good setup is great on Hail. I can speak from experience using Azumarill with Belly Drum on my OU Hail team. It never really let me down. Fuselae Delta, also really nice with its Levitate and ability to pivot. There is a little bit of a tough time with hazards here. You will have to run like Rapid Spin Hitmonwoo or Rapid Spin Fuselae Delta, who's weak to rocks, or Rapid Spin Sandslash Alola. However, Vibrava is a really, really good Gloomon. I think it's insanely good for its value as an Edgequake resist and a ground type slow pivot who could clear rocks or set rocks for this team. Don't sleep on Vibrava, for sure. Gourgeist Large, also a great switch in for this team. So this team does have some defensive merit, even though it's a Hail team. Additionally, with Ninetales Alola as your setter, you have some Hail Veil options for helping facilitate setup as well. So if you want to go for like the Dragon Dance on Gyarados, you'll do it behind that. If you want to go for a cheeky Calm Mind, Quick Feet, pseudo Quiver Dancing Hitmonwoo, you could go for that. Doug Trio I love here because it could remove pesky steals that Glaceon and Sandslash Alola have trouble breaking through. So Doug Trio is an excellent mon on this team. I think this team has a lot of great options for itself. Mawile is really nice too as a kind of like come in on some of the problematic mons type mon. I don't see it coming as much, but still decent. Gourgeist Large for fire resist. So nice defensive and offensive options for a Hail team, which tends to go offensive. This could go offensive with some nice bulk to kind of back it up. So as the #1 Hail team user in the server, I approve. I think this is a very good team. All right, we got Morgana. Morgana's here, one of our FNF OGs as well. Not as active on FNF Showdown, so it's always a treat when he comes in and he's like, what the hell are you guys doing here? It's cool seeing him use some of the mons, the custom ones especially. He is our bird keeper today. We're going to take a look. He's also gunning for Roboblim. We're going to take a look at this team, but Foul Frost, Unpheasant, and Empoleon, we have our bird fan, which we love to see. Alrighty. Good offenses on both sides in terms of threats and decent speed already off the bat, I can see. So, decent speed tiers here. Nice 128 capping it off. There is one thing that is tough here. Very tough. And that is, with great bird keeping comes great responsibility. That is the rock weakness. There are a lot of rock weak mons here. The only one that's not rock weak is Empoleon, and the thing with Empoleon is that it is not an Edgequake resist. So if you come in on a Stone Edge, you do have to be careful if they're planning on using the Earthquake right after. Rocks you definitely want to keep off the fields too, with Foul Frost and Unpheasant being two of your biggest offensive mons, and Arthrogon. Lots of rock weaknesses. So Defog, Empoleon, Defog, Witherby are going to have to go a long way. You do have Prankster Defog and also Rapid Spin Paracasa. So that is a good option for sure. Paracasa definitely helps because if you could get that quick Defog in, it's guaranteed most of the time, unless you're facing like Hawlucha or a Dark type, which is going to block your Prankster. So And even then you have rapid spin. So things to consider for sure. That is the big weakness of this team. But aside from that big weakness, well, you do have fire. Fire also is tough because Empoleon doesn't resist. So fire, keep in mind too, fire can be a little tough here. But aside from those, oh, and a ghost. Aside from those, this team, what I really like is that its offenses are really good. Foul Frost can take games on its own. You have great priority options in Arthrodon First Impression, Luxray, Sucker Punch. You could even pull a cheeky Kindle Burst with Delphox. So this team does have those cool options. It has good setup, Foul Frost with Rock Polish. I absolutely love. Unpheasant Primal, we need not see what it could do because we've seen how much it could do in UU. What else do we have for setup? Delphox, Celebi, I'm not sure if it could set up. Witherby, I think Witherby can set up actually, it does have Swords Dance. Arthrodon with Dragon Dance. So you do have a lot of setup options. Grubbin with webs in the pocket is really cool. I do think that this team definitely has to be really mindful of those rocks. Rocks are going to be like the big thing that this team has to overcome. So right off the bat, I would say investing in Taunt could be really good. Like Paracasa, Drizzle, Taunt could be really nice for like a lead rock or ground that's going to try to get rocks up as soon as you can, because you could go ahead and threaten with Weather Ball or Hydro Pump, and you could Taunt it. The other thing that I love in this team, Rain does help with fire a lot, because then everything that's neutral now becomes a resistance. So that is something to keep in mind. Paracasa actually has decent synergy with this team. And you do get the activation on Squall on Empoleon, and that goes so hard with Agility. Agility, Squall, and Empoleon, chef's kiss. So yeah, I think that this is a really cool team. I think that it could overcome its weaknesses if it plays right. It's going to have to play really well, but it is a team that could like steal games at a moment's notice. So you have to really be careful. And it does make you think, do I want to set up the rocks now and let the momentum get going on his side? Or do I want to try and stop him at all costs? So really interesting team, really cool. And 3 birds, what's not to love? All right. On to number 10. This is Rex's team. We're almost done with the Pengshi division. Rex is here representing Psychomeleon. Pooping Pigeon. Who is Pooping Pigeon? I got so distracted. I like that the logo with Aurora on it, which is Rex's Altisatch. I like that the logo is almost psychedelic in a way to match Psychomeleon, and Matrafly makes you trip. So I guess this is the drugs team. Anyway, let's take a quick look at this team and then get into it. This team named after natural disasters and weather. Let's see here. Lots of hard-hitting special attackers, some decent physical attackers. Defense is on both sides. Pretty nice. Speed tiers. There is a bit of a gap here. Not too crazy, but there's another gap here, and your Venusaur is likely not running speed. So this team is actually a little bit slow. You really have to rely on Noivern and Mismagius for your upper tier speeds, so something to keep in mind a little bit. I'm wondering who Pooping Pigeon in chat is. Sorry, Rex, I'm like interrupting your analysis by wondering who the Pooping Pigeon is. Let's take a look at this matchup chart here, or type chart. Nothing too glaring. Ghost, of course, is always the thing that seems to be what people have trouble most with, because there's just not a lot of Ghost resistance, Ghost being a great offensive type. But other than that, actually pretty dang good. Mega Venusaur, Chinchou, Bronzong, Macargo Armored. Those are really nice Pokemon to form some bulky cores with. Not as offensive as I usually think of when I think of Rex, but also no slouches either. Venusaur Mega, Macargo Armored, they could hit pretty hard, even though they're defensive Pokemon. So they do have a lot of use for that. Oh, okay. Thank you, Pigeon, for clarifying that I don't know who you are. Of course, though, the big elephant in the room here is Matrafly. Matrafly being able to spam Passion Storm, set up its boosts for itself, and Mystic Kite and Quiver Dance. In case you thought you could do a Fire Blast and take it down, think again. It still has Earth Power. So, yeah, Matrafly is one of the mons of all time in this league, and I'm definitely curious to see how it goes. Chinchou as a slow pivot, Sarina Delta as a slow pivot into Matrafly is really nice. That is like really, really, really nice for Matrafly. Let's see, I really want to see Graveler action. And then, in case you think this team is too slow, don't forget, there is a Pocket Trick Room here, and Corona Macargo Armored, Pangoro, and Graveler. Yes, Graveler. Eviomite Graveler is real. Will knock your socks off. So, something really, really cool to consider. This team has a lot of cool sauce. It has a good defensive backbone. Offensively, it is relying a lot on Matrafly the more I look at it. Sarina Delta can be used offensively though, which is pretty cool. And Miss Magius, but like the big like breaker, like huge win con mon here is definitely Matrafly. So yeah, this is definitely more of a balanced team than I would expect from Rex, but also there's a lot of hidden sauce here that isn't super clear right on the surface. And then also you have stuff like Swords Dance Venusaur Mega with the newly buffed attack, or Choice Scarf Sarina Delta, or Choice Band Pangoro, which is a favorite of mine. So yeah, just some pretty cool stuff, and I'm very excited to see how Rex pilots this team. Rex does have some blood. In the matchups this time. We have Sentry, who's wanting that run back from Draconic Cliffs, which I'm like super encouraging in this rivalry because it's so funny because Sentry gets so into it. And then I think Edgar wants a piece of that pie too, so both of them in Rex's schedule. So very curious to see how Rex does there and what the matches are like. It's going to be really fun. All right, we have two more. This is where the dock is going to start to fail me, correct? Yeah. The dock fails me here, so I'm going to go ahead and just once again move these teams up. All right, next we've got Rosalind going for Mawile FNF, the sole representative for Mawile FNF, resident psychic type enthusiast, and the only person to fill out all of her slots on her roster. Of course, you have 4 NFEs, so that's probably why. 3 of them are fossil Pokemon, and then we've got a little cutie fly joining along. Let's take a look. Some decent firepower from some of these mons. All right. Right away, I'm noticing the 127 to 104, and really 100 because I don't know how real Cutie Fly is going to be on this team. That is a pretty big gap. Anything 125 and under only has to account for Zapdos. You could expect to see quite a bit of bulk invested. And then the 90s are all kind of scrunched together. Guess you don't really need an 85 or something because I don't think Sizzler is going to be running speed too much anyways. So yeah, so the speed tiers are a little bit awkward on this team. And then Ghost, no resistances, only one weakness. So that is another big thing with this team. Offensive Ghosts, be very careful. Blacephalon can stunt on this team. You really have to be careful with Ghosts of that caliber. Of course, there are ways around it. Nova Horizon, for example, is really good at taking on Ghosts because it could just obliterate them before they could think to do anything else about it. Let's see, what else do we have here? Hazard game. We have Ferrothorn, which is a hazard god. We have Defog from these two bulky fellas, Scizor and Zapdos. Demolition Tyrantrum. No spinning. Oh no, Pocket Spin on Nova Horizon, although it's not really wanting to spin all the time. And then in terms of offensive pressure, of course, Nova Horizon is the king in that department. The other mons are kind of like split between offense and defense. These guys right here from Ferrothorn over to Siren Aqua. They kind of do, but actually no, Tyrantrum is more offensive. Zapdos even as well. Scizor is really going to want to do that bullet punch shenanigans. And I think that Scizor and Nova Horizon do complement each other pretty well. Scizor could come in on some of those bug types that might be risky for Nova Horizon, and when Scizor needs to tap out, it could go to Swampert or Ferrothorn. Actually, not so much Ferrothorn, more Zapdos. Let's see, what else do we have here? Nova Horizon is going to be really cool because you get to pick whether you want to go for the special attack boosting or the speed boosting. Special attack boosting can be more deadly over time, but the speed boosting can prevent you from getting revenged easier. Both are pretty viable options. And then let's see, what else do we have here? Pretty resilient to physical attackers. You have a lot that punishes, like U-turning, for example, with Iron Barbs, Static, Intimidate, Arcanine, who could hold like Rocky Helmet, for example. Special attackers have a little bit of an easier time considering Siren Aqua's there. We are going to see if the Siren Aqua accusations are real or if Siren Aqua itself is real. So I'm hoping that we see some cool Siren Aqua action. This team, I think, is perhaps need a little bit more time in the kitchen. But these top two here, Nova Horizon and Mega Scizor, can be really deadly accompanied by the other guys. I'm also curious if we see any of these NFEs. Would be pretty hype, not gonna lie. Alrighty. Finally, the last one. We've got Zequigs. I like Corsola. This is the logo I was talking about. It's so cute. Take a look at it if you ever get the chance. This is hand-drawn by Zequigs. Has his signature, very cute style. Very goofy, cartoony style. Kind of like Jumpy-esque, kind of in that same camp. And he always makes his logos, which is very cute. And he always goes with, I like Corsola. So Zequigs going for Tangela. This is our Tangela rep in the Pangxi division. Let's take a look at these mons before we go into the analysis. We have some staples for Zequigs: Muck-a-Lola, Rotom, Heat, and Corsola, and Whimsicott. All of those are very Zequigs mon. These are kind of like the Zequigs comfort mons. He likes to draft these when he gets the chance. And they do go together pretty well. Additionally, we have, let's see, speed tier wise, a good upper end. A 125 or a 130 would have been good, but 150 is also a good choice. Then decently spread out. There is a bit of a gap here, but nothing too crazy. Very nice defensive type chart at a glance. Let's take a look and see here if there's any glaring weaknesses. Nothing that I could really see. Yeah, because Muck-a-Lola is really good at taking on ghosts. Yeah, this is a great defensive type chart. One thing to note is that Flymolky is a little bit of a fake member on this type chart, so water can actually be a little tough for this team. Water is where I'd say it's probably the iffiest, but aside from that, pretty dang good. In terms of offenses, this team is definitely more physically oriented in its offenses. Gallade, Mega, Orneridge, Clang Clang, all big hitters in that department. Especially there isn't really anything that hits super hard or breaks. So that's something that this team needs to keep in mind. I do really like the Curse Straw addition here with Muckalola. Muckalola being able to come in on some dark types. It doesn't like to lose its Black Sludge though, but if you come in on a knock with Gallade and get a Justified boost, that's really, really cool. Flymolky special is an option, but its special is like a 90 something. 95. So it's like not much of breaking. Modest is an option, that is true. I do want to see some Flymolky action, don't get me wrong. I love Flymolky so much. It's such a cool mon, and volatility is such a funny ability. In terms of boosting, we have Shift Gear, Swords Dance, Nasty Plot, Dragon Dance, Swords Dance on Flymolky. We have the bulky boosting set for Parasect FNF. Nasty Plot on Curse Straw. So we have a decent mix of things. And then, do we have a Pocket Trick Room in here? Cling Clang. Cling Clang can Trick Room. So Cling Clang can Trick Room, pivot out, and then go into Choice Band, Head Smash, Corsola with Hustle, obviously. That's pretty much it on the Trick Room front. But this looks like a really fun team. You do have some good pivoting to Flymolky, Whimsicott, Orneridge, Cling Clang, Brodom, Heat can all pivot. Corsola good for setting rocks, removing rocks. Cling Clang can rapid spin. You have Defog from Whimsicott, Orneridge, and Brodom Heat. So decent options for your hazards, more so for, well, no, because you could self-rock with Orneridge too. This looks like a fun team. Very Zquigs branded team. Very fun team. Rex is like, how can Cling Clang Trick Room? Surprise. It wasn't even an addition from us, I think. It's just vanilla. But anyways, so that is the Pangxi division. Let's take a final look at these teams and tell me what your favorite team is, and I'll tell you what mine is. I'm just going to go through these teams one more time just to get a final cursory glance and determine what my fate is. Jamran saying Zquigs has something that I would build. I as in her, not me. Alrighty, I looked at all the teams and my verdict for my favorite team, it's gotta go to Edgar. Edgar's team has so much aura, it's so cool. I love Edgar's team. I love how everything can be offensive in a way and defensive in another way. Everything has utility in some way. Everything can plow through. Webs goes so hard here. Everything feels valuable. I really like Edgar's team. Shout out to Lionhug's team though. I am a weather stan and I love hail. It's one of my favorite weathers. I would use this team as well. So those are my two favorites, but honestly, all of them are pretty cool. And let me know what your favorites are. Give a shout out to all of the people who drafted, because there are a lot of cool team builds going on here, especially with the very limited draft points we had. Alrighty, without further ado, we're gonna move over to the best division. Oh, what did I just do? Okay. We move over to the best division, the non-genre division, the Crocky division. Also our smallest division, the most intimate. Can't wait for defensive Abra. Ya tu sabes, we have the Eviolite, max special defense, max HP, Calm Mind Abra. There we go. Okay. So we've got our Crocky division. Once again, we can't see all the logos here, but we're gonna go through them one by one. Final 10. Let's do this. We start with Actias, with the worst team in America, the $S, just like DJ Sucia, who is one of our faves. So we love that. I'm gonna take a quick sip of water and then we will begin. Actias coming back for Draft League, which is very hype. Last time they were here, they always pull some like really cool plays, which I'm really excited to see. And this time gunning for Faror. So we've got our first pick in the Crocky division, Faror. Let's take a look and see what this team is like, and then let's go in and get into the nitty gritty. Alrighty. Lots of defense. Decent spread. All right. Okay. The first thing that sticks out to me with this team, and probably the team's biggest weakness, is the speed tiers. 90 as the highest and 150 as the next leaves a lot of room for base 100s, 110s, etc., to not have to worry too much. So that I would say is the biggest thing. I could definitely see some scarfing going on. I could definitely see some sets like Rock Polish or Flame Charge to mitigate that speed, and maybe a Pocket Trick Room. The speed tiers aren't amazing for Trick Room, however, so that is something to keep in mind, but it still can help in getting rid of some of those speedy mods. That would be the big weakness of this draft, but what this draft has in a weakness, it also has in a lot of benefits. The type chart is really nice. There's nothing really glaring at me for this team. The ×4 is for Electrode FNF, which you're not really trying to use defensively anyways. And Crocodobie is one of the best edge quake resists in the entire mod. So the rock weakness isn't really what it's shown here. It's not that bad. Chestnut also gives the Intim rock weakness, while Scarseek can set up on any ground types or rock types that try to threaten. So definitely not as bad as a -1. I think the type chart is pretty much covered with pretty much everything. I don't see any glaring weaknesses there. So really good type spread. Additionally, you do have some good synergies here, like for example, Togekiss and Chestnut Delta. Togekiss can come in on those pesky earthquakes, whereas Chestnut Delta can come in on steel and rock. So just an example of that. Crocodobie also forming a great little core there. DOD, really great mon. Can taunt, can win the hazard game, can stall break, and can take so many hits. Really great piece on this team. Pure Psychic isn't great, but with the synergies that this team is making with itself, it's a great additional piece to sponge hits that otherwise the other team members wouldn't be able to take. I do like that Rotom Mow and Beelzebub give a decent pivoting game. I think that there could be one more pivot on here. You do have Dry Pass Togekiss, but Dry Pass isn't as good as a pivot move, but you can use it. In fact, you can use it with Wish to kind of boost up, let's say, Beelzebub, or boost up Scarseek or Chestnut Delta. So actually, not too bad. You could Wish Dry Pass Chestnut Delta gets to come in and sponge a hit, or you could just hard switch, honestly. So yeah, some pivoting. Electrode FNF does clean really well here. So this team can kind of hop around between its defensive pieces, take a hit there, take a hit here, whittle things down, and then once everything is done, Electrode FNF goes for it. But what I also like is that a lot of these defensive pieces have offensive pieces to them as well, and those are the kinds of mons I really like. I really like defensive mons that can hit hard too if they want to. Crocodobie offensive sets, I could say, are super fun, especially because Rockjaw can just be lethal. Scarseek, of course, bulk up guts, drools a little bit. And then you have some cool anti-setup with Dusclops. Don't discount Dusclops, guys. Yeah, pretty much Void. My favorite defensive mons are the ones armed and ready to harm their attackers. So true. I like tanks. Tanks are my fave. So yeah, this is a really cool team. I think that Beelzebub goes really well with Crocodobie as well, because you could come in on those rock moves, and then Beelzebub could come in on grass and stuff like that. So yeah, lots of synergy with itself. The biggest thing is the speed tiers, but like all things, those could kind of be played around. Rex did mention that Dio and Rotomo are not always going to want to run speed, and that is true as well. A lot of these mons don't want to run speed. I'd say Rotomo usually does want to run speed, but the others I don't see running speed as much. So just something to take into consideration. You'll really need to augment your speed, either Trick Room as a diversion or some speed boosting moves or Scarf, things like that. Webs would be nice on this team. So yeah, that's something to take into consideration, but decent tanky team, and we like those. Moving on, we've got B, Miss Bumblebee. Choose a better first letter next time. What do you mean by that, Jeremy? I do think that I fixed the Ubers being banned in draft. I think that if you go right now and try to validate with DoD, it should work. If not, yell at me. All right. Bumblebee is here, gunning for Robo Blim. She is the Cast Form Trading Co. Let me tell you, this is Bumblebee's first rodeo to Showdown. She officially played her first Showdown match, FNF Showdown match, versus me the other day. So, yeah, she has a lot to learn, but we're here for her every step of the way, and I hope that she has fun. I think that it'll be a good learning experience for her, and hopefully she has fun with her team. Yeah, first Showdown match ever as confirmed by Tina, so yeah. Just have fun. Don't try too hard. Don't worry too much about losing. Everyone here has played a lot, so don't feel bad if it seems hard. Just have fun and do shenanigans. And shenanigans she will do, because look at this team. It is shenanigans central. Ready to go into it and see. Oh yeah, she said, I want a female trainer with black hair. That was her only specification, and I was like, it would be really funny if I gave her Carmilla. So I did. Anyways. All right, weather galore. Top line speed 113, but that's kind of not true because you have Poliwhirl, Raptopee, Rotomfrost, Kingdra, Swampert Mega, and Executor, all utilizing the speed boost from weather. This is the weather team, guys. This is weather chaos, weather incarnate. Well, it doesn't use every weather. It doesn't use sand, and it doesn't use miasma. It has a pocket hail with Rotom Frost. This is mostly sun and rain, which is a very interesting build because I don't think it's been done yet. So I really hope she has fun with it. She has a sun setter, a rain setter, and cast form who could set either of those or Hail, so she could form a lot of different team builds with this composition. She has special and physical Sun abusers. She has special and physical Rain abusers. She only has special on the Hail side, but this seems like a really fun team. Vibrava as a cool slow pivot. Rutherium to kind of round out some of the weaknesses of a Sun team like Fire, while also being able to be supported by the Rain team. If, let's say, a strong Rain Pokemon comes out, you could send in Kingdra and then start going to town since it quad resists water. Rutherium goes for the hazard setup, while Vibrava, Castform, and Paracasa can remove. Paracasa is a pretty fun Pokemon with this team, as it is a Prankster Mon, so it could Prankster Defog to help Sun. It could Prankster Rain or Sun to set up another Weather. It could go Weather Ball. It has a lot of fun stuff in its toolkit. And Castform, let me tell you, is very nice because it basically has a free specs on its stab moves at all times while also setting up Weather. So the rock that it holds isn't really useless because the Weather is usually going to be boosting it. Not with Hail, but like with Sun and Rain, which she'll be using. So yeah, matchup chart wise, not amazing. Weather, especially Sun and Rain, especially Sun, is not known for being good defensively. So this team is more kill you before you kill it. However, it does have some good defensive options that could back it up. Like I said, Rutherium, Vibrava, and you could even use one of the Mons from the other Weather if you're not running it. For example, Executor does appreciate the Fire moves being toned down, and it could come in on Grass moves that threaten Swampert Mega or Electric moves that threaten Castform. So not totally defensively slouchy, and it gets to have Harvest if it's running like, let's say, a Berry. So pretty neat, I would say. One of the not so great matchup charts, but for a Sun Rain team, not terrible for the defense. But yeah, the speed is really nice considering you have so much doubling, lots of offensive firepower, and this team is really a I'm gonna kill you immediately. Very fun team. This team definitely gets fun points for Sun, Rain, and Pocket Hail. All right, Bill is next, the only one gunning for Mega Swellow. He likes his burbs, what can we say? And look at this, we have another Weather team. Bill is one of our OGs in FNF. He has Hail as his main team and a Pocket Rain. So let's take a look and see what he's got going on. Looks like Basculin does need to be fixed in the dock to be able to view it, so I'm going to fix it real quick. All right, so those speed tiers, once again, don't cap out at 115 because he does have Glaceon and Sandshrew, not Sandslash. Mostly Glaceon, but those two do get their doubled speed in Hail, which means that he has a higher upper tier. He also has good priority with Arcanine F and F, and Basculin Red getting the adaptability Rain boosted Aqua Jet. He has webs to help augment his speed as well, so definitely no slouch on the speed department. Additionally, he is pretty Hail heavy, and as it tends to go with Bill, this is not new, the rock weakness is pretty insane. Yeah, Bill tends to lean fullest into just like, I'm going to be offensive with my Weather and I'm going to kill or I'm going to die, and that's it. So he doesn't really tend to build the best matchup charts, especially with the Ice Mons galore, which are not known for being defensive Pokemon. So I cannot lie, this is probably the worst matchup chart defensively in the entire league. However, Hail and Rain is both really, really cool. And with Rain, you can augment some of the defenses a little bit, like weakening fire moves on Fellfrost is really nice. All those twos turns into neutral hits, and all the neutral turns into resistances. So That's pretty cool. Hail also boosts his ice mons in the defense department, so he can do some fun weakness policy shenanigans in case you have the idea of going for a Stone Edge, you don't kill, and then Falfrost starts Revelation dancing and murdering your entire team. So just little things to take into consideration there. I would say steel types are probably the hardest thing for this team to deal with, while rock is the hardest thing to take a hit from. This team has the hardest time breaking through steel types. Glaceon's going to have to choose a hidden power to be able to do so, and so will Falfrost because both of their stab is resisted. Politoed is really going to have to help with those steel types with the boosted water moves, especially with Basculin. But there's nothing that really super threatens a steel type here, like a fire type or a ground type that could do super effective stab. So that is something to take majorly into consideration. How is this team going to play around steel types? Fighting types can also be pretty tough here. Not a great matchup chart either, but I would say that steel is probably the worst because fighting types still have to take blizzards and hydro pumps and tidal tackles, whereas steel types don't really worry much about the blizzards. So yeah, this is the ultimate glass cannon team. It is the ice cannon team. But it's a signature build team, and we love him for it. I love the hail rain. I love hail. So welcome back, Bill. All right, next we got Cloudy gunning for Meloetta Delta. The Wulongong? Is it Wuyongong or Wulongong? I don't know. Whimsicott. And we have another Matrafly. Matrafly drafted in every division. Let's take a look. Alrighty. Decent speed tiers here up to the 102, but there is a very noticeable gap between Despotide and Matrafly. So those 95s, those 85s, those 80s, all of those mons are going to be able to invest in bulk freely. So the upper part of the speed tiers look good, but the mid section of the speed tiers do have some trouble. Let's take a look at the matchup chart here. Psychic is one of the weaker ones, which can be troublesome if you have a Psychic that could Focus Blast Probopass, for example, because then you have no resists. Let's see what else. Ice, but Probopass is one of the best ice resists, so that's a little bit less bad. Ghost, absolutely no resistances, so another Ghost weak team. Definitely be careful with that. Let's see. Okay, in terms of hazards, great removal and setup with Probopass. Great removal and setup with Hawlucha. Great removal and setup with SDA, Steenie Delta Armored. Great setup with Liliquin. There's a lot of good hazards on this team, both in the removal and in the setup department. Trick Room team, you can run Trick Room with Marowak Alola. I don't see anything else super gunning for Trick Room. I mean, you could maybe throw SDA in Trick Room, but I don't see it too much. Probopass doesn't really run offensive, but I mean, you could try. But yeah, I see this more as the top 4 mons are really going to be the ones who are gunning for that control of the offensive part of battle. Lots of Scarf Matrafly or Quiver Dance Matrafly to take games. I think that Coco is really nice here, pivoting into Matrafly and pivoting into Despotide. Coco would love to run U-turn here because if you U-turn on the bulky ground, Despotide could come in and set up for free. Swords Dance Despotide, really, really vital. And then if a steel type or an electric type wants to come in on Coco, you might be able to go Matrafly and then just go to town, or go SDA and then continue your little pivoting around. So yeah, this is a pretty top line heavy team. I don't see the bottom two coming too much. But it supports itself pretty well. You want good hazard support for Matrafly and for all the pivoting that you're doing. Lots of good pivots here and lots of good recipients to that pivoting. So I think that Cloudy actually has built a pretty good team. The only caveats being, of course, those weaknesses are pretty noticeable, the Psychic and Ghost weakness especially. So just something to take into consideration. Now, Matrafly can blow up Psychic types, so not too much to worry there on the offensive side, and good special defense. So maybe not as bad as it seems, but the Ghost weakness is kind of big. All right. Team number 5. We've got F-Witch here, Deathless Ladian going for Flaremingo, the one Flaremingo rep. Every beta Pokemon on the dock got at least one rep, except a certain one. Carablanger, rest in peace. So I think that's the last Mon Flaremingo to receive a rep. We got all of them except one. Another returning OG FNF player who is in Victory Road. Let's take a look at the team. Definitely some F-Witch staples on this team. Wishy-Washy, Magnezone, and Crustle FNF are some fave mons of FNF, and some new ones as well. I really like these speed tiers. 140, 127, 110, 104, 89. That's a pretty nice spread. Oh wait, Wishy-Washy was 104 is fake. Never mind. But still, that's a really good upper spread. There is a bit of a gap between 110 and 89, but not too bad. Overall, pretty decently spread out. Crustle FNF, of course, can go for the Shell Smash to augment that speed some more. So I do like these speed tiers a lot. Some of the faster mons and a pretty fast team in general. Let's take a look at the matchup chart. Looks like Fire is a little tough, but Crustle FNF is pushing that a bit because Dragonair Armored is really good there, and so is Typhlosion. Still something to watch out for. Looks like Flying is pretty tough too, although Magnezone is one of the best flying answers, and Dragonair Armored is really good at answering flying as well. So those two aren't as dire as they'd seem, I'd say. Otherwise, we have one Ghost immunity and one Ghost resistance. Not ideal, but better than no resistances, right? Aside from that, pretty good looking spread here on the type matchups. In terms of what this team wants to do, it can pivot with Ladian, Typhlosion, Magnezone, Wishy-Washy. You have a mix of slow and fast pivots, Parting Shot, and damage, and go into one of these hard hitters. It flows into itself really nice. Yeah, these two go really nicely together. You challenge both on the physical and special side. Spore seems pretty nice here in setting up some opportunities for setup down the line, or to just take away one of the Mon's checks to be able to set up. There's a lot of heavy setup here. There's Dragon Dance, you have Unburden, you have Swords Dance, Beast Boosting, Power Up Punch or Swords Dance. Hits more on the, actually no, hits both on the physical and special side. In terms of hazards, you have not the best hazard game. Osteo and Dragonair and Crustle all can set hazards, but they don't really want to be doing that. In terms of removal, none of these really want to be removing either. So it's kind of like that situation we were talking about with Edgar's team earlier, where like you have options to remove and set hazards, but none of those options really want to commit to it. So that's something to keep in mind with the hazard game here. Otherwise, there's a lot of boosting, there's a lot of firepower, offensive firepower in this. All of the Mons can pretty much hit hard. So this is another one of those teams I like. It can take a hit, it could dish a hit, and it could run away with it and really snowball. 2 Beast Boosters on this team, which is really cool. Overall, very cool team. All right, we've got 5 left. Going on to Jamran. The Epictons is back, this time going for Tanghalana, one of our Tanghalana reps. Let's take a look and see what we've got here. Oh, this is Pangxi. There. All right. All right, speed tiers. Big gap here between Torn and Tobishimi. That's the first thing I noticed in the speed tier department. Good upper numbers, but not having a 110 or a 100 does mean that there's a huge gap there. Not super favorable. You do have webs as an option with Vigavolt F and F, so that is something that could mitigate the speed tiers that Serena would really like and Tobishimi would like as well. In terms of defensive capabilities, you have 4, 5, 6 with Dry Pass, 6 defensive Mons who can pivot. That's really nice because you could have your defensive Mons kind of keeping up the momentum. Lantern Torn is a really, really great duo because they support each other really well. And then Serena could kind of come in and fill in that last gap in taking rock type moves. So yeah, I think that that's a really, really good structure. I do think that Luminion Lantern is a little bit redundant because you have a bulky water type that could pivot and sparkling water in both of them. Maybe we'll see Luminion try to go for more offensive sets because it definitely can. That would be pretty cool. Or maybe we'll see Lantern be freed. Illuminate, Weakness, Policy, Thunder, Blizzard, Hydro Pump, anybody? Hello? But yeah, I think I could see Luminion having the door open to be able to Luminesce with Signal Beam and then run like Sparkling Water and stuff like that, Hurricane, etc., with Lantern being able to take the role of a more defensive water type. In addition to all the pivots, you have some Mons that the pivots could land on to really hit a snowball or to set up. Altazash could set up Nasty Plot, and Tobishimi can go for the Dragon Roll shenanigans, which is fun. Lots of good setup and removal with Defog Torn, Rapid Spin, Serena Delta, Defog, Luminion, Demolition, Vigavolt, Aggregate, Wormadam Trash, and setting up hazards as well with Wormadam Trash, Vigavolt, who else can set up? Serena Delta. So this team has a really good hazard game. In terms of weaknesses, Fairy isn't too big a deal because Wormadam Trash could handle a lot of Fairies. Nothing too glaring. The Fairy, I mean, Fairy can hit hard, but like Lantern also takes Moonblasts like a champ, so I don't know if the Fairy is too difficult to handle. Nothing glaring in the weaknesses for this matchup chart. The one thing I will say about this team is that it is, compared to other teams, relatively passive. You don't have a lot of like Mons that really shock you with how offensively amazing they are. You don't have a Matrafly or a Nova Ryzen or anything like that. You do have some hard hitters, like Altazash can hit pretty hard. It can Nasty Plot up. Serena Delta could hit pretty hard, especially under webs and things like that. Vigavolt can break, etc. But this team is definitely more of the defensive breed of a team in exchange for some of that offensive firepower. I think this is probably the bulkiest team of the Crocky division. So yeah, really excited to see what Jamran does here, and I really want to see some of those defensive, offensive Mons cook with their offenses. All right, next we got Owen, Fire Warrior, one of the FNF Victory Road players who's coming back after a long time to play an FNF Showdown. He is technically an FNF Showdown newcomer, but not a Showdown newcomer. But still, excited to see him here, and I'm wondering what he thinks of FNF Showdown. Let's see. All right, so here we got his team. And I believe I have to go back and check. I was drinking some water. I think he's going for Roboblim. No, he's going for Farroar. Nice. Alrighty, let's take a look-see. Okay. Speed tiers, 175. Definitely a little bit awkward on the speed tiers. The upper is 114, which it's more prankster meowstic. So the speed tiers here are a little bit awkward. You have a 100 to 114 gap, you have a 60 to 75 gap, and then you have a 20 and a 41. So it is a little bit, it's probably the most awkward speed tiers. However, this team makes up for that in what it can do. It has a lot of cool pivots and a lot of mons to stop on. It has a really good defensive core. Him on top is actually super clutch with that Intimidate and good bulky fighting with spinning. Ferrothorn sets up lots of hazards. Florges, Scizor, they could remove hazards. Good hazard game is really important for Mega Charizard Y. You have breakers in the form of Mega Charizard Y and Garchomp. You have boosting with Scizor. You have good pivoting with Scizor and Arctic. So this team actually has a lot of desirable stuff outside of those speed tiers. The speed tiers are kind of the only iffy part of this team. In terms of the defensive matchups, nothing too glaring. Once again, that Ghost is... It's always like one weakness and one resistance or nothing, or yeah, never really filled in too much. Fire can be a little tough, especially with that boost from Charizard Y's Sun. You'll have to be very careful about that, but Slugnami takes fire like a champ. So as long as it's not a fire water user, pretty good at switching in at the fire moves. Otherwise, no really big glaring weaknesses there. You have good hazard setting, hazard removal, pivoting, braking, boosting. You kind of have it all, and these mons compress it really well. Yeah, I'm super curious to see how Owen does, because it has been a while since he's played, so really interesting to see how he adjusts to FNF Showdown. All right, 3 more. Pharaoh is next, another Tangela rep, and he is weaponizing his hubris this time. Let's take a look and see what we've got in Pharaoh's team, known for his shenanigans, antics, his love of bugs, and his signature pheromones, of which he has many this time, including Cradily, Musharna Nightmare, Bastiodon Delta, Tropius, Ferroseed. Celesteela is one of them too. He does have a lot of signature pheromones that he tends to draft again and again in his drafts. All right, I'm looking at these speed tiers and wow, wowee. Okay, 10 of the mons are 65 and below. Zooey mama. Okay. And then 118 and 86. So big gaps there in the speed tiers. This is a very slow overall team. Yeah, this might be the most awkward speed tier team. I am wondering if there's a trick room angle here, but like none of the lower speed mons aside from like Specs, Fallout, Musharna Nightmare super want to do trick room. So the speed here is definitely slow. This is one of the slower teams. However, Scrafty Mega can Dragon Dance, Celesteela can Autotomize, Combuskin of course has speed boost. So there are some mitigations to that. You have decent setting and removal on this team, more so on the setting side, less so on the removal side. Removal mainly comes in the form of, I forgot that Musharna Nightmare does not have Defog. My bad. Crescupa, Combuskin, and Tropius. Okay, the removal is actually a little dire here. The setting is pretty good. You have Stealth Rock, you have Spikes, and you have Toxic Spikes. Tropius will definitely be interesting to see. I would love to see some Ripen shenanigans. Ripen is really, really fun of an ability. Let's see. Matchup-wise, Ice and especially flying. Flying is the big one because Stila is the only resist. Lots of grass and bugs. No, actually, more so grass than bugs. Lots of grass. Actually, only one bug, which is surprising. So flying is definitely going to be tough. Stila, it will probably be coming every match. Some decent. This is the best team against ghosts, which congratulations. Best team against dragon too, or one of the best. Best against grass by far. I think this is the first 10 I've seen. So very concentrated in what it does. Flying is a little weak, although Shorelorn, yeah, I mean ice, not flying. So ice, flying, fire, those are things to look out for. Yeah, grass isn't doing much versus this team. Leave your grass at home. This is an interesting team. It's definitely like, there are a lot of things that each of the Mons can do here. So I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot of Pharaoh's unconventional play style. I would love to see if there's a Trick Room on this team. Musharna Nightmare Trick Room just blast things with specs fall out. That would be so funny. I think that Pharaoh prefers a slower pace or a slower play style in matches typically. He's very much like a Leech Seed, Death by 1,000 Cuts kind of player, and lots of Mons who can do that here for sure. But when he doesn't need that, he has Mons who could also take the game, notably Scrafty Mega, Celesteela, and on some occasions Shoreline. So definitely a very Pharaoh team, very interesting team, very intriguing team, and very weaponized hubris. All right. Team number 9. We have our Rolligon rep Restored Files, Tina, who we're ending with the crackheads here. We had Pharaoh, now we have Tina, and we have Void coming up. We're ending on the chaotic players. So let's go in. Taking a look here, as you can tell, we have 2 Porygons. We have Cosmog and Cosmoem and Unknown. This wouldn't be a Tina team without it. All Known, Fion Primal. This feels like weaponized hubris. This is her greed. She's like, how many legendaries can I stack on a team? Okay, let's take a look and see. Alrighty, so decent spread on the speed tiers. However, the top line is very slow. I think this is the slowest top line in the entire league. Only 100 at the top. So that is something to take into consideration. You might want to boost your speed, or Kashino can Trick Room. Kashino could definitely Trick Room. And you could Dragon Dance, you could Geomancy, or Quiver Dance. So yeah, and then if something outspeeds you, well, just send in Ditto, and then you outspeed it. So problem solved. Am I right? Am I right, gamers? Yeah, this is definitely a for fun draft. The matchup charts are going to be a little bit skewed because these guys here all do the same exact thing on the matchup chart pretty much. So this team isn't like deathly allergic to, and it still has a ghost resistance despite the 3 NFE psychics. That's actually kind of insane. Let's see. Electric, no resistance, no ground type. That's certainly something. Pray that you don't have to face Coco. Are you facing Coco? You are not facing Coco. You lucked out in the regular season. Fairy only Kashino. I could definitely see Kashino coming a lot. Nothing else particularly standing out too much to me. Like, you have options for everything. But yeah, there's quite a bit of like dark stacking on this type chart because of those psychic guys. Bug stacking as well. I think this is the first non-resistant to bug team I see. But this team is very shenanigans, and we love that because you know you're gonna see Oracle pulling some shenanigans. You're gonna see Ditto coming in to save the day. You have no idea what All-Known's gonna do until it does it. Kashino could actually be pretty unpredictable too. I would love to see a Trick Room Super Lux Scope Lens Nasty Plot Kashino just go ham. That is the Malik set, and it's very fun, I could say, as someone who has seen it in action. This is an interesting team. Like, these are Tinamons through and through. And I think we're gonna see what Tina can do with them, and I'm very excited to see what she could do with them, because this is very much a like, I want these Mons and I'm gonna get these Mons. We'll look at the matchup chart later. And we kind of stand, we can't help but stand. I did specify Oracle instead of Same Play. Oracle is kind of iconic, what can I say? But yeah, welcome Tina. You better show us the crackheadery and the craziness and the chaos, which I'm sure you will. All right, and last but not least, we have Aspiring Amphros to the sequel, going for Raitora. That's actually, we didn't mention the Raitora yet. So finally, all of the Mons except Karablanger have been mentioned. 1 rep for everything. Let's take a look at this team and see what it can do. All right. Speed tier is very nice. Nice spread at the top. Goes down to 50. You don't need the super slow, I think. Like, the top is way more important. Actually, pretty good speed tiers, I will say. Yeah, this might be the best speed tiers of this division. So congratulations, Void. He does like his fast Pokemon. Let's see what we got here. Rock is sticking out. What is your resistance? Registeel doesn't resist Edgequake. Everything else is neutral or does not resist. So Rock is going to be tough. Registeel might be coming each week because there are a lot of Rock weak Mons here. So something to take into account. Make sure that you really plan for Rock. Let's see what else. Ghost is actually fine. What else? You also make grass types suffer. Literally nothing on your team is weak to grass, and more than half of it resists. That's very funny. Dragon can be a little tough. Registeel definitely has a lot on its plate, being your defensive Mon of choice. So some support for Registeel would be really good. U-turn Wish for it is definitely an angle you could go in. I don't know if Latios gets Healing Wish. I forgot. I think only Latios does. But yeah, try to keep that Registeel healthy in your matches. Dark is also a little spooky with only Warforos resisting. But Ariados can actually do pretty decently well. Actually, Ariados should be listed as Dark. It's listed as Bug Poison. That's my bad. Is it listed like that on the dock? Oh god, the dock is wrong. Okay, well, Ariados is dark, not poison, so... Oopsies. I think so. Am I tripping here? It's definitely Bug Dark, right? Please tell me I know my actual Ariados. Oh no, it's Bug Poison, what the hell? It was supposed to be Bug Dark. No, like I think legit I just forgot to put in Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, the whole point was that Ladian was like the superhero and Ariados was the bad guy. I went over this with Bloop. Maybe I changed my mind at the last minute. I don't know. Anyways, sweeping that under the rug, let's just continue. You heard nothing, I guess. Where was I? Okay, so you have good priority in first impression and Gale Wings. You have some decent output on most of these mons, minus like Regiseal. You have the very nice Psychic Terrain Specs Explosion, which actually pairs decently well with Arthrogon U-turning and hitting hard those dark types. Do be careful of Pursuit, however, because dark is kind of tough to handle. Hit pretty hard on both sides. Swords Dance, Warfaros, as well as plus Warfaros. I love both of them, so it would be cool to see what you got with those. And then of course, Ariados can do its fun little trap and then kill thing, especially Mega Ariados with its big bulk and Merciless. So you could leech life a lot of stuff back, or you could sucker punch something. So definitely some decently cool stuff. One thing I will say, be careful with Psychic Terrain negating First Impression, Sucker Punch, Extreme Speed, and Gale Wings. You actually have a lot of mons that don't want to lose their priority, so be very mindful of when your Psychic Terrain is up and when it's not. Yeah, I think this is a pretty cool team. I learned something new today about Ariados Mega, even though I'm the one who coded it in. Shows you that you really can learn something new every day. Yeah, that was the idea. Like, you get them poisoned with toxic spikes and then you sucker punch them to death. I have to see like what happened. Why did I change my mind on that? Or did I legit just forget? Maybe I forgot. I don't know. Anyways, let's check and see what my favorite team is. Just gonna go through and check these teams out. Definitely the most interesting teams of the league in Crocky. Crocky has the most crackhead energy. All right, we got Jamran saying that B is her favorite team. Did you need to send the names for your mons into FNF events? No, they're there. See, Latidos, Lettern, etc. They're already good. If you notice that your names are not on the dock and you want to have nicknames, just send them over to me, Beater, Galaxy, Morgana, or Cass, or Cassandra, actually, Cassna, in a DM, and we can put them in for you. Favorite is Jamran from Rex. Okay, after looking at the team, I'm going to say my favorite. I have two. I really like F-Witches. It plays really cool. So that's my favorite, but like I want to give a shout out to Bees because of the crackhead energy. But there's so much crackhead energy in this league. I love it. Like in this division specifically. Crocky, it's getting late, I'm tired. Crocky division really just amps up the crack cocaine, and I love them for it. That's why they went first, because they're on stimulants. Okay, so everyone could learn a thing from the Crocky division. Go on stimulants. I'm just kidding, don't do that. So yeah, overall favorite team in the league. I'm not gonna lie, Edgar's team is my overall favorite. It's just so damn cool. I love it. I can't wait to see it in action, and I definitely would draft it myself. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this stream, that you enjoyed seeing some more stuff about the other teams in the league and about your own team. If you have any questions, any thoughts, any doubts, any desires, anything at all pertaining to the league that you feel needs to be said, feel free to let me know via DM or post it in the chat if you want to post it in the chat. But anyways, I hope that everybody has fun. This is going to be a super awesome league. We're going to get 3 beta mons, which is so hype. I'm really excited, and this is the first league I participate in literally like how many years has it been? I want to say it's been more than 4 years. So I'm really excited to see what happens, see all these new custom mons that we got in the last part of the main story. Thank you all for being awesome and cool, and the VOD will be available if you did not see your team review before. So anyways, I will see you next time. Have a great night and have some great battles. Bye everybody.